Wow, this has got to be the slowest Can-Am 800 I've ever ridden. This right here is a 2011 Can-Am Outlander XTP 800, and it obviously isn't running right. So in the last video we did on this one, we could turn the ignition on, everything was working here, but the push button start wouldn't work, nothing would work. We could jump it from the solenoid, but it wouldn't start. What it was is this key switch was faulty, so I replaced that and now it starts. However, we're gonna throw her in neutral. However, she does not run great. You can tell it's not idling perfect. Give her some gas. It actually seems okay right there, but I promise you, this thing is way down on power. So let's go ahead, get her back in the shop, try to get it back in the shop, and we'll see what's going on with this thing. This is steady throttle right here. We'll give it some more. All right, we're back in here. Let's get to work. My first thought originally was to check the fuel pressure. I've definitely seen some fuel pumps go bad on these things, or just the sock filter in the bottom of the pump plugs up and it'll cause reduced fuel pressure and you'll have very bad performance. I always want to start out doing the quick, easy stuff first. That way it'll save me time, save the customer money. It only makes sense to do it that way. So we're gonna go ahead, remove this guard. Exhaust shield to be exact, which these things always rot out here. This one's actually still fairly solid, but you can tell she's getting rusty. All right, so now we can get onto our fuel pump. So we got our fuel pressure tester right here. We're gonna go ahead and remove this gas line. All right, get that disconnected. We'll go ahead, hook up our hose. For a fuel pressure tester. Now we're looking for 51 PSI out of this ideally. Anything too much less than that, it's probably our issue. So I'm gonna go ahead, turn the ignition on, and that should spike up. I think we found our issue. Not even 20 PSI. Pretty good guess. I like to hit it a couple times because sometimes it takes a couple times, but it's not going above 20 PSI. Well, I guess I'd say I was right on the money with guessing weak fuel pressure because 20 PSI isn't going to cut it in this 800 engine. I'm glad I took that off, check the fuel pressure, because we're going to definitely need a new fuel pump, possibly just clean it out. We'll pull it out and see. However, look at this right here. This runs from our stator, goes back into our voltage regulator. This is very crispy. We got exposed wires right there. That's not good. So, yeah, we're going to have to undo this and check out that wiring. So after seeing that, the first thing I'm going to do, disconnect this battery. I think I know what caused that. I bet this battery, because on the last video I showed this battery was just flopping in the wind here. I bet it had shorted out in the past. So that's unfortunate. Honestly, this fuel pump will probably be the easy part of it. If we got to go back, I don't know. Hopefully it didn't fry it all the way. If it did, we might have to replace this whole harness. I really hope not. That's certainly something I'll talk to the owner about. I'm going to reconnect that hose. I want to clean the top of the tank off so nothing gets inside it. Alright, so now we'll go ahead, pull this line again. Disconnect the power supply. Now this is just an air vent. We'll go ahead and remove this. You want to make sure these things aren't plugged up. I didn't check that. Seems fine. I can blow through here. So Ooh, that thing is plugged solid, actually. We probably better check the fuel pressure with this off. I don't know if it's going to make that much of a difference, but it might make something because that is certainly plugged up. So I'll connect the battery real quick. All right, so I get that battery connected again. I'm not going to move stuff too much around here, but I want to check the fuel pressure before I pull that fuel pump. Now that she can breathe some, because there was definitely a gush of air that came out of there when I hit it. So we'll hit the key switch again. Yeah, she's still at 20. It's kind of what I was thinking, but it's worth a check. Go ahead, bleed that back out. Disconnect the battery. Continue where we left off. Disconnect our gauge. Power. I'm going to pull this. Yeah, she got a little crispy. It's either because the battery shorted out, I'm guessing, or it rubbed through from the exhaust shield, but it doesn't look like it rubbed through there. So I don't know. We'll be checking that. So luckily this is actually fairly easy to get to. You don't need to pull the tank or anything. Just come in here with some type of pair of channel locks. Or if you got an adjustable strap wrench, that works great too. And we just loosen this up. All right, this lid can come off. And now we can pull the sending unit out of there. So first thing I want to check, I get a little fuel everywhere, is the screen, because they are known to plug up, like I said. This is the screen I'm talking about. This thing looks super clean, so that's not going to be our issue. The pump, we got a weak pump in here. I'm actually going to shove this back in the tank because I don't want to get any dirt in there. I know we need a new fuel pump, so I'll set that in there for now while I look over this wiring. That's all I'm going to do to that. So yeah, go ahead. Cut that. I'm going to expose this harness. I want to see how far back it got charred. I'm just going to go ahead and remove some of this tape. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and feed this to the back. Yeah, we'll keep her coming back here. Go ahead and disconnect the voltage regulator. A lot of mud in there. There's that. So we want to be careful when we're taking a razor blade. We don't want to actually cut through the wire, just a little bit on top of it. We'll pull the wire through. That way we do not damage any wires underneath. Go. All right, so we finally get this charging wire out of here. I mean, she's crispy. If I move it back and forth, it just wants to break, especially underneath. Yeah, I mean, look at that right there. Surprised the charging system was actually still working. So these wires feel great going to the battery. So what this wire is coming from the stator, the charging unit, and it comes back, and this puts AC voltage into this voltage regulator. The voltage regulator converts it to DC, and pumps it through this wire into the battery, charges the battery up. I'm kind of surprised that just this is bad, but everything else looks good, luckily. So I cut this wire to check the gauge of the wire so we can get the new wire on there. So we'll go ahead, pull out the connector, cut it. Go ahead and turn on our soldering iron, dip them in a little flux, then we'll twist them together. What that's going to do is now you can't even remove it. So now when we solder it, it will not go anywhere. For this, I'm just going to heat up the wire. Once we get it soldered on there, we throw some shrink wrap on it. Melt that right down to a nice tight finish. I'm going to go ahead and slide this one back up in there, just like so. And we'll move on to the next one. We do the same thing here. Then we'll put the last side in. Make sure they don't want to pop out. And we'll do the same thing to the other side of the plug. Now that we get this done, we can go throw it back on the machine. I'm going to go ahead and get the stator wire back on here. Run it back up. I'll reroute it all, tape everything back together, then we got to go get a fuel pump. All right, well, now that our wiring's fixed, I talked to the owner about the fuel pump, and I told him I possibly have a good used fuel pump, same exact thing. And he said, yeah, if it's good, go ahead and use it. So here's the used one. This came out of a good running 800 Outlander, so it should be good, but you never know. If it's down at all, we're not going to use it. I might try it out just to see if it's going to run good, if it's down a little bit. If it's 20 PSI, there's no way. We'll just have to order a brand new one. With using this, it'll save a little bit of money to the customer, and you'll get the machine back a lot faster. Find a clean area to put that down. All right. These are actually some of the easiest sending units that I've been able to just pull out of an ATV. Just remove this top exhaust shield, and then you can pull it right out. A lot of times you have to remove a lot of plastics. So I'm not complaining about that. So we'll go ahead and get rid of this one. Now I'm certainly not going to toss that sending unit because I can replace the pump in it, and that way I'll have another good one. But in the meantime, we'll throw this in here very carefully. We don't want to get any junk in our fuel tank. I want to make sure that's nice and tight and sealed. I'll go ahead and hook the power wire up. I'm not going to hook it up to the machine because I want to do a fuel pressure test on this pump first. That tightened. I got to reconnect the battery. All right, battery's all connected. Moment of truth. Let's hope for 51. We're very close. There we go. So the first time around, the pump was kind of empty, so it took the second time to get up to that 50. As you can see, my gauge is bleeding back down, but if we hit it again, pop right back up. When that fuel pump's running, it goes to 51. Let's go ahead, I'll bleed it out. That's exactly what I wanted to see, so that's great news. All right, so now we can actually hook the fuel line up to the ATV. Just like so. So I went ahead and cleaned the breather out, so we'll reinstall that now. So after seeing that wiring mess, I don't trust that battery holder one bit. I'm going to remove the battery. The owner agreed with me to replace that battery holder, so I should have a used one. We'll go check it out, and I'll put that on there. So this is what his looks like. This is what it should look like. As you can see, the whole back part is broke off. Put that back in there. All right, now we can throw our battery in here. Guess what? It fits. All right, we can go ahead, Go ahead and hook up our positive. Now we can go ahead and strap this down like it's meant to be. All right, let's go ahead, fire it up, see how it sounds. If it sounds good, let's go take it for a test run. Let that fuel come up. Let it warm up for a minute. Sounds good. Put this heat shield back on here. So before we go ahead and head on out of here, I just want to test the running voltage, make sure we're charging. I believe it is, but 14.5 volts. Go ahead, give her a little test run. Oh, much better. Oh, that's better. So much better. Snow's getting pretty slim around here. Don't even need four-wheel drive today. Oh, that is so much better. Oh, didn't realize the dirt spot. I got a little dirty today working, but before you go ahead and start judging me for riding it like I did, the owner said he saw some other videos of me riding my own stuff. He said, I want you to treat it the same way. He said he's not gonna baby this thing, and he doesn't want me to either, because when he gets it back, he wants to make sure it's gonna be good. I believe that's all we're doing to this right now, but I'll have to double check with the owner, see if he wants anything else done, maybe a service, because like I said, that oil is pretty black and stuff, but we'll round up the bill for him right now and we'll see what he says. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video.